Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hi, Darren.
Hey, pal.
Hello.
So I know Philip is not going to be here today.
Who?
Philip,
Okay.
Hi.
Philip is here. It looks like everybody's here that's going to be here.
Yeah, it's only Paulo who's not, so I guess we have a quorum.
Yeah. Do we need to do like a whole call to order, Michael? I don't know if this is a normal meeting.
It's a it's a published meeting, so it's actually it's a public meeting. So you need to do a roll call.
Okay, so let's start by calling order to today's Barrio Historic Zone Advisory Board meeting on February 24th, 2025. Paolo here, Darren,
Here.
Mitch,
Here.
Stephen,
Here.
Hope,
Here.
Grace.
Here.
Great. So we're missing Philip Naher today. Do we approve the minutes from last meeting, Michael, or do we wait for the next meeting?
No, I posted the minutes for the last meeting.
Yeah. So you want to approve them today?
We need to approve them today.
Okay, so I looked them over. I can make a motion to approve those. Is there a second?
Second.
Steven, second. Darren,
Yes.
Mitch,
Yes.
Hope,
Yes.
Grace.
Yes.
Great. So the meetings for, what was it, February 9th, 2025 were approved.
February 10th.
Was it the 10th?
Yes, Monday, February 10th.
And today we're just talking about the guidelines. Is there anybody
Yeah.
that wants to take charge of this? I was not at the last meeting, so I don't really know what happened. And
So basically what happened was the guidelines have been sent out. Prior to that, there were assignments that have been distributed. So everybody has a section to look at. And you all agreed that you were doing this special meeting for the guidelines so that I think turn by turn, everybody will then bring up whatever they found in their section that needs to be revised, stuff like that. My understanding is that Hope is going to reformat the whole thing. Once she gets all the comments and the revisions that you have today, she's now going to go back and put it in the reformat the way it's supposed to be, and then it will be ready to go for PRS, the review, depending on what you do today. If you don't finish it today and you think that you need to come back again and finish it, that's fine. If you do it today and you finalize it today, my understanding is we're going to then give it to Hope, who will do the formatting. And once the formatting is okay, she will then send it to me, and then I can schedule you for PRS review. Or if you choose that after the formatting, you want to take it one quick round at it again, that is up to you. But we can make those decisions today.
yeah. And Michael, we need to have somebody at PRS to go over the guidelines with PRS.
Yeah, the day that you is scheduled for PRS, you will need to get one or two people that will do the presentation to PRS and answer related questions that PRS may have.
Okay.
Choose to, or if the whole board wants to go there, that's fine. It's a public meeting. But the other boards have just been sending one or two people who are very knowledgeable about what you're doing. You do a presentation, and then to do that, I normally have been sending the design guidelines to PRS way in advance, so they have the chance to look at it. You come in there, the person presenting, you do a presentation just like people present before you, and then they will ask you the relevant questions, you will answer, and then we go from there.
When is the PRS meeting typically?
They're typically the second and the fourth Tuesday of every month. They meet 2 times a month.
And that's an
In the
in-person meeting.
evening?
I
That
think
was
they meet in
great.
the afternoon. Michael, what time do they meet at?
1 p.m.
1 p.m.
The second and the fourth Tuesday of every month. So they meet twice a month.
But they'll tell us which meeting we get assigned to, right? We don't choose.
No, you don't choose. I will
Yeah.
tell you what meeting you are assigned to.
Okay.
It just depends on these projects that are before you. PRS is opting that the design guidelines should be a standalone item. So the day that they are coming to review your guidelines, they really want me to just schedule only that one item. Or if there's need for a second item, it should just be a small project so that they have more time to discuss the design guideline. Because in effect, this is basically what helps the review process going.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on when it is ready to go, like this Thursday, West University, they are doing 2 sessions. They did the first session and they are coming into PRS this Thursday coming up to do their final review with PRS. They'll be done. And then Fort Law is going to go to PRS in March. I believe will be the second meeting in March, like March 27th, because they are basically done with theirs. So as soon as you're finished, I can probably give you a head up as to when I believe you will be able to go.
Okay, and I heard Paulo ask, but I'm sorry I missed the answer. Is that in person or online?
No, it's all is Zoom, it's online.
Okay.
We're not doing in-person meeting at this point in time.
Okay, so I don't mind walking us through it. I think the best thing is if everyone could open it on their own computer so that we can all continue to type into it. Otherwise, I can share it, but I know it's going to slow things down if, technically. Does that work for everyone to open it themselves?
Yes, I have it open.
Okay.
I need to
All right,
let
so-
everybody know, excuse me real quick. I need
Yeah.
to let everybody know I need to leave at 5:40.
Okay.
Okay. I hope
All right,
I need
let's
a
see what we
minute
can
to
do.
open it. Do I just go to the email and open it up from there? Is that the best way to do it?
I think, I don't know, Michael, how did you deliver it most recently?
By email.
And
Just put the link in the chat.
yeah,
Oh,
in
yeah,
that.
that's right. Okay.
Oh, the link in from today's email?
Just a
Attaches
moment
the-
ago, I put
Grace
it in
just
the
put
chat
it in
of
the
the
chat.
email.
It's right
Oh.
there in the chat now.
Okay, let me. Oh God, where's the chat? Oh my. Okay, I see it. Sorry.
Hope you
Okay.
want to share your screen.
Well, I want to avoid that if I can, because I know it's going to clog my internet. And also,
Okay.
Okay, I'm good.
you are, okay, everybody else okay? Darren?
Yeah, all good.
Okay. All right, so we'll kind of skip the table of contents because that's one of the things I'll reformat once we're settled. I will tell you something that I did that I think I might regret. My section to review was this materials, design elements, architectural details. I went ahead and put everything in alphabetical order because I thought I couldn't understand that there was an order there, but it's come to my attention that that might not be the right way to do it. It might need to be categorized. So we can go back to that, but I just wanted to say that out loud that I made a bold move that we may want to correct.
I like
Yeah.
that. So you're saying it doesn't work with how the guidelines are written, Hope?
I saw some other guidelines that have them categorized like exterior. Well, I guess it's all exterior, like things about landscaping, things about materials, things about well, different. I have it here.
Do we just
Form.
do you just want to cross that bridge when we get to it?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I just didn't want to forget.
Sure.
To me, it makes sense, but I don't want. I mean, my thinking is we want to be aligned with what other guidelines typically do, and that's where I have zero expertise. So, okay, moving on. I'm in the Barrio Historico background, and it seems like we've all reviewed that, edited it. And Stephen has a question. It's right. Do we have 18th century references?
There are,
That's the
Are there
17th.
from the 17th?
I
oh,
don't
from the
think,
17th? No, I don't know.
so we can just strike that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think we're probably all fine. Keep adding this. I'm just making front. I'm making that permanent by making it black. Okay, these maps. I think I'm gonna move these onto their own page, don't we think?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so it looks like people did work ordering them. And is everyone happy with that?
I couldn't get the switch these images.
Oh,
There's just two, just the last two bottom right just need to be flipped for chronological sakes.
I think
71 and 48.
did that fix it?
Beautiful.
It did.
Oh, wow. I'm impressed with myself. Okay. Design guidelines introduction. I'm on page 5. I think all these edits in pink that Stephen made are good. Darren,
Yes.
I think you do make a reasonable point. Urban renewal is a um
It's
it's only
mean-
positive, that term, right? Like there's no nuance there.
I mean, I know we're not a social studies class and we don't have to contextualize all of our words, but we do brush up against gentrification as part of our process. And it's just such especially with, the build of the convention center, it's just, I mean, some people see that as a real act of violence. So I just wanted to have that discussion real quick and see. I don't know. I just thought it was worthy of conversation a little bit, addressing.
Is there any do you have a suggestion?
I don't really have an alternative for that. And it gets really complicated really quickly. So I just was curious what other people thought, or if I'm.
So did we, that's not addressed in the background? I don't think so. Going up, I don't see it, which is I think that's that's an oversight. So do we think it should be in the background? Or is this, hold on, where is this?
I mean, these are our guidelines, so I don't know how much contextualization
Yeah.
if this is the right place, but also that touch just seemed a bit.
I mean, I think
don't
it's
know.
important to lay the groundwork for why we're a historic neighborhood, why it's important to preserve it. We want to make us sound extra special and worthy
Yeah,
of all this effort.
this sentence seems it's in the right place, but to Darren's point, should we expand on, the impact of urban renewal maybe elsewhere?
What if we just use the word, what if we added the word, a controversial move, toward, a new form of urban, there's a way to use, add a couple words to acknowledge it without trying to explain it. That's my point.
Yeah, movement to move all the poor people out of the downtown core and replace it with municipal buildings.
Please.
No, no, I agree that there's some way to to verbalize it.
Controversial effort to redevelop downtown. Controversial effort
Yeah.
to redevelop downtown.
Yeah, in a controversial.
I'm just typing this. A
Okay.
controversial effort to redevelop the redevelop downtown Tucson. Led
Mhm.
Can
think
we
How does
just,
that read?
That sounds good.
can we take out the word controversial? Can we just say the redevelopment of downtown Tucson led to XYZ instead of adding the word controversial?
Well, it was controversial.
I
It
know
still is.
Well, and
It's-
also if it hadn't happened, we might not be in this situation, right? It really did form the.
It
That's
was
why
just a
we're
suggestion.
charged.
If you feel very strongly about that, that's fine. It's still, it's still going to go through PRS and ultimately going through the director. So
I mean, I don't think anyone's going to argue with the veracity of that statement.
not really, not really.
Okay.
So
All right. Well, I'm gonna move on unless anyone wants to talk about that more. I'm happy for suggestions there. Okay. All right, here we go. Let me see if I can get rid of.
So I didn't catch this. I later in the document removed the relevant Secretary of Interior standards because I think they're best hosted on the other form and just
Mhm.
made reference to here that might affect how we're describing these guidelines. Maybe references the Secretary of Interior standards instead of includes.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna make all this black. Okay, I'm gonna try not to get bogged down in this stuff. So I'm kind of doing what everybody else is doing. Whenever I see a change, I'm just looking at it. And then if no one has any issues with it, I'll go back and make it all black so it all matches. Okay. Design review process. The things that
Hey,
are in
hold on.
bold. Oh yeah.
Above that, I had put in blue at the bottom of the 1, 2, 3, fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth paragraph up, bullet point, I added exactly duplicate, which may be redundant, but.
Okay.
And also in the next one down, it says toward the right on the top sentence, it says, then replace the building permit approval process. Oh, yeah, I think I added that.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I think those are good. Anybody else? So I'm just gonna make them black.
There. We're up there. Okay.
Okay. All right, design review process. This in bold, I just did that earlier today. I thought we should add, we didn't have this written out specifically who PRS and PDSD were, so I added the detail, if no one minds.
I think that's helpful. I think
Yeah.
we have a tendency to just assume that people know what we're talking about. So I think
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
important context.
It's great for all
And
the
then-
non-architects.
Yeah. And then this section I added, there's a couple things that I'm like particularly have it in my mind that I want to make sure we tackle. And one of them is height of buildings. So I added scale, height, and size. But just for our discussion here, you tell me.
Height is included in size, no?
No,
Yeah,
mass,
maybe.
mass, it could, size could be different than height.
I would
Okay.
possibly add rhythm into that as well.
Historic nature. Here, right here after historic nature.
For rhythm,
Yeah, like
I think
where?
you can go anywhere in there. Rhythm, scale, height, and size. Yeah.
Should we
Okay.
say visual visual rhythm or something, physical rhythm, something like?
Rhythm is
I mean, I'm not an
defined
architect,
elsewhere.
but I think rhythm, I mean, Mitch, Grace, rhythm is the way the houses are balanced on the street, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's addressed in the UDC.
I think the UDC just call it rhythm without.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do.
So, and that's where the review process has a little bit of flexibility. So when they talk of rhythm and the project comes to you, if you choose to be looking at the visual, you have, that kind of thing. Let's just use the word rhythm and leave it as such.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the UDC.
Okay.
And let's avoid being very prescriptive here, because when you become too prescriptive during the review process, it would then become a little bit difficult for you to take certain decisions. That is why the code and the design guidelines are intentionally generalized, so they can give the reviewing authority the latitude to take certain decisions.
Yeah, but these are things we do discuss and evaluate.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't say, it says compatible,
Yeah, it's not,
which I does
doesn't
think
say-
allows for.
Yeah, this isn't prescriptive necessarily. It just, these are things, these are questions that will be asked.
So the blue text that I think you, Stephen, added on the next the next bullet, I think this is our chance to clarify the sides that are reviewable, right? So it's not
So
just the front, it's not
so
just not the streetscape.
Right, and so the original said, so what I put in parentheses from the street sides, that was originally in there. I made it blue and put it in parentheses. And then the rest is just my comment.
This one is an interesting one. We have had, and I think Jody at the time instructed us to review like a courtyard. We're looking at the interior elevations of those as well. So I don't know that it's street side. I think you're correct in removing that kind of
Okay.
limiter for the review.
Actually, the history review process, we review for all these 4 sides of the structure, not just the front. It is the National Register that they give more emphasis on the front. But for HPZ purposes, we are reviewing for all sides of the building, not just the front.
But what about courtyards? That's different, right?
Yeah, that one is different because it's interior.
Do we need to make that exception? Do we need to articulate that exception? And if we do, we should say that, I don't want to make things more difficult here, but if we do articulate it, we need to say that it is a totally enclosed courtyard surrounded by the, house itself or structure itself, somehow define that, what a courtyard is.
So So what is that going to give us if we let them do whatever they want in the courtyard? Is that what you're saying, that we don't have to review courtyards that are non-visible from any of the exterior sides?
No, that's not what, I think that's not what we're saying, because pools are being reviewed in historic district. And a lot of time pools are inside the property. So we cannot generalize and say we cannot review courtyard because they are not visible from the street.
I didn't understand that, Mike. The last part you said we're not allowed to review courtyards because they're not visible from the street.
No, I didn't say that.
No, that's why I want a clarification. I didn't understand what you said.
Oh, no, I'm talking about, I'm saying that you cannot say that because the courtyard is not visible from the street, it cannot be reviewed because pools are being reviewed.
Right.
Yeah, and they are in the courtyard, they are enclosed.
Correct. So I didn't understand this conversation that we were having with the courtyard and what you guys want to do with the courtyard.
What I was saying is we should make it clear that we're going to review all facades, including the courtyard, because that's been the precedent we set in the past.
Okay, great. I'm in agreement with that.
Okay,
And I was
so
just
this
saying
needs to be,
I
our
was just
change
saying
is
that that is
visible.
consistent. I was saying that that is consistent with the fact that pools are being reviewed. Swimming pools and pool cabana and stuff like that are being reviewed.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't it seem though that it has to be, like a pool could be seen from someone else's backyard, if the fence wasn't there. So that's why that kind of makes sense to me, but saying that you're going to go inside someone's courtyard, like in through their house, that seems a stretch.
It does.
It does to me too, yeah.
What were the circumstances that you reviewed that courtyard, Grace?
I'm trying to remember which project it was.
Well, I'm looking at it from the point that, if we don't review these interior courtyards, an owner or builder or an architect can go in there and put, aluminum sliding doors and,
Yeah,
I think it needs to have a consistency with any exterior wall surfaces, whether it's a courtyard or the exterior perimeter of the house.
yeah, and that's basically what happened in the Barrio, and that was why the courtyard was being reviewed, because there was
Yeah.
a project that came up that there was a sliding door or some kind of door thing that is not allowed by code. And somebody had put it in the courtyard, and at the time the boss said it was not allowed. And so the zoning administrator, I believe, made a determination that it was subject to review. Which is
So
just
look what I just said. Are changes visible on any exterior facades, including street side, in any facade potentially visible to a neighbor, whether or not there's a fence or wall currently in place? So this doesn't address courtyards though, but well,
No.
maybe it does. What do you
But-
think? Exterior facades.
Exterior facades or walls or exterior walls.
Or walls, including street side, any facade potentially visible to a neighbor.
I would take out potentially visible.
Okay.
Michael, is compliance with what the zoning administrator has previously determined part of the city review, or is that on us?
This is part of city review.
Okay, cool.
Once the zoning administrator makes a determination, it becomes part of the code.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we weren't saying something that was directly in conflict with what they had determined.
No.
Okay, all right. Now I'm on
Really?
page 7.
Can we stop for just 1 second? I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know if this pertains to this, but this is coming to my mind right now. Mitch, Grace, I don't know if you remember, we approved on 9th Avenue a balcony. Grace, do you remember it had a water
Yeah.
harvesting tank?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and Mitch, you remember that?
Yep.
So one thing I'd like for us to be conscious about in the future when we do approve those, and I don't think we thought about it when we approved this one, by adding that balcony, it totally messed up the owner's privacy to the north of that home. And she's pissed because we approved it. She had like an enclosed backyard, but now apparently with that balcony, if they're out on the balcony, they can look right into her shower and her courtyard. So I don't know. I mean, just in the future, if we keep that in mind, but it kind of makes sense with this that we're reviewing these.
Wouldn't that be a city zoning thing, like for the larger approval process?
I don't
How
think
do-
so. Michael?
What was the question?
The privacy issue.
The privacy issue is there with mostly in cases where they have the DDO application, the design development option application, where you have a 1-story and then you have somebody with a 2-story where they can sit on the balcony and look into your backyard. That one is being reviewed as part of a DDO process. Unfortunately, the DDO process, if you're in the HPZ, you don't need to do a DDO because the DDO process is about setbacks. And so the historic review process has the ability to waive setbacks.
Yeah.
So
So I
once
think
you do that, yeah, go ahead.
in the future, if we have somebody coming, they want to add a roof deck onto their house, I think we need to be conscious that
Yep,
have them prove that they're not disturbing the neighbor's privacy on either side of their house.
exactly. Because to answer the question, the wider city review would have required a design development option application because of the nearness to the neighbor. That's how the design development option application does. And so, because you can waive setbacks, and that is consistent with what Paulo is saying, when it comes to you, you need to begin to look at those things to see whether that kind of impact would be.
I don't think in this situation we did waive a setback for the roof, but
No, we just
I
allowed
guess I
them.
would just want to make sure, I think from an advisory standpoint, we could say, hey, you're creating a privacy issue here. I don't know that that's enforceable because that's if they're within their right to build it,
Yeah.
not.
I think we should have them prove that or show whether or not they're creating a privacy issue. And I think on that roof deck, we didn't even ask that question.
Yeah, no, I think
No, it wasn't a roof deck, it was a balcony or something. I can't remember what it was.
Okay. I would be so bummed.
Yeah, you would, right?
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Okay. Are we happy with this facade language?
I think you gotta spell out courtyard because it's gonna come up again. I think you gotta,
Including courtyards after walls.
I think you gotta just do courtyard. Courtyard or exterior walls, including facades. Courtyard walls, courtyard, I mean,
Courtyards.
it's gonna come up.
Good. What about interior courtyards?
Okay. It seems,
Courtyards with exterior, well, do all courtyards by definition have exterior walls?
No, they don't. That's why I think it should be interior courtyards.
Yeah, I guess it's a question of if the interior exterior distinction is referring to the building envelope or the parcel.
You guys, is this, I may have missed this, but is this covered in the Secretary of Interior standards? Like this level of,
No,
it's not.
it's
Well,
not.
those
You
standards are really thick. I mean, I haven't read all of them, but they are pretty. I mean, they do go into detail, Michael.
I mean,
They-
I'm all about,
They go into detail when you start going into preservation briefs. But in 9 standard Secretary of Interior standards that they have 9 preservation briefs, that is when you go into big details on this. So that is why a lot of time you just want to be generic, and then the details are during the review process.
so, I'm all about, preserving the, historic integrity of the neighborhood. But this does seem like a stretch. I mean, so at some point we could be reviewing like 4 facades of a building that will never be seen by anybody except the occupants of the building.
And I'm up for, you're always bringing up that a tree could come down or a fence could come down, so I think they should
Right,
all be reviewed.
but on an interior courtyard, it's the building itself is creating that that visual insulation.
Yeah, but what if you can see it from a roof deck next door or something? I mean, I think since we're reviewing the whole envelope of the building, whether it's got a hole in the center of it or not, I think it should be reviewed.
Okay, well, I'll go with consensus. I just seems like, as Hope said, a stretch, but I'm okay with.
What does everybody else think? Darren, Mitch, Grace?
It sounded from what Michael was saying, like the zoning administrator had determined that it is in our purview. That's what I understood from what he was saying. So I think from that perspective, we should be consistent.
Mitch?
Yeah, I think that sounds good to me.
Darren?
It's a lot. It's a lot, especially since we're encouraging an indoor-outdoor living experience, and this is what this architecture is structured around. But I understand. I mean, I think we should include it, and then we should just kind of be really generous with it.
I agree with that.
Are changes visible on any exterior facades, courtyards? Oh, we want to say
Interior.
interior or facades or walls. I'm just trying to separate them. Or interior walls, including streetscape, street side. Whether or not there is a fence or wall currently in place, it could come down in the future. Okay, I think that does make sense. Okay. Okay, here we are on page 7. I think we're going to bag this startup kit. We're not doing this, right?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, just get rid of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
All of this.
what was it? I mean, it seems really helpful for the novice who's approaching this daunting task, who doesn't have the deep pockets, you know?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Well, hopefully what
Armory
we've
Park was
outlined
doing.
is
What was it?
enough.
Okay. I'm
Grace,
just,
what were you saying?
It's something Armory Park was doing. And when I was on that board, they hadn't figured out exactly what it would look like, but I can reach out to them and find out. Or Michael, do you know?
No.
They're farther ahead than us in this process.
I mean, it seems like a burden if we're going to have to update it quarterly. I mean, we'll probably not get it updated, and
it seems like a big burden. And also it seems like, I would imagine a lot of this is addressed in the end of this document with all the information and
Yeah.
connections. So maybe we
yeah.
bolster that section and fold that into any relevant contacts for people.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Ready? Watch this.
Boom. Magic.
Okay.
So this next one, I'm not sure if you guys have done this, but there is a list in the UDC itself that it has like each address and each parcel that's in the HBZ, and it says if it's historic contributing, non-contributing, that sort of thing. It's not user friendly, but it is there. So I think if you know how to find it, it'll tell you exactly what you need, but I don't know that it is that helpful. They have, since I think this was written, they've kind of bolstered the GIS, which I would recommend we change this kind of long paragraph to just search your address in the map and it'll tell you.
What is
All right, I'm happy with.
what does GIS stand for?
Great question.
I think it's geographic
Geographic
information
information, yeah.
system.
Okay.
So Grace, do you just want to write a short sentence with the link?
Bam.
Love that.
Oops.
Okay. So is this all a lot of repetition? All this purple cross out?
So this is the sort of copy pasted the development zone standards from the UDC. I think it would be better to just reference, go to the code. I think this is hyperlink works, and then find the information there. Just seeing if that information were ever to change, we're not
Okay.
creating a discrepancy.
All right.
So my next comment here is about security lights. We had it listed specifically as something we don't review, but I know that there was a case on Convent where somebody made a code enforcement regarding security lights. So I wanted to bring that to the board. Are we happy leaving it off the review list? Is that something we'd like to see?
So were they just big kind of wall hung spots, or was it the appearance of the lights themselves, or was it like, the quality of the light, or the kind of motion activation, or do you know what the complaint was about specifically?
I don't. Let me see if I can find it.
I mean, here I also see, I almost don't know why we would include what's not for review. Just because I don't want to discourage people. And also here I see painting. And I still like the idea of figuring out a way to include that.
I would probably leave.
And security lights aren't a maintenance thing either, which it's odd.
Yeah, I would leave the security lights out of this sentence myself.
I mean, I would say security lights would be a violation because the lights themselves don't match.
Hmm.
And we
Yeah.
do have language about lighting.
I'm happy to remove the language here regarding security lights, but I would ask, I guess, Michael, if somebody were to come to you saying, I want to paint my house or I need to patch the stucco, I'm assuming that there's a list of things where you tell them, hey, we don't need to review that, or do you have everything come to us?
No, there's some of those things people just come to me and say, hey, here's what I want to do. I say, you don't need a review. You can say you want to paint your house. You people don't review paint. The code does not say that you should review paint. Paint is only review if it is a big project and within the context of a project. I just say, hey, go ahead, you can paint your house. Just make sure you are painting with a color palette that is existing in the neighborhood and you're good to go. Or somebody, you come, you have a 6 light paint, one of them is broken by a vandal or something, you just want to replace it. I'm not going to take you through the review process. We, myself and Jody, we have been considering that like just standard maintenance. I'll just say, hey, go ahead and you can do that. But there are some that the board will have to look at it. You want to replace a window, we say, okay, that is, it potentially affects the facade of the house. You go through a minor review process. So to answer your question, yes, there are certain things that we allow people to do without going through the review.
So maybe we change the language here so that it says, if you're making any changes, run it by the Historic Preservation Office. And then Michael can inform them if they need to do a review or not.
Oh. I mean, I think it is also true. Reviews are not required for the conduct of routine maintenance. I mean, that sounds like a true statement. I mean, repainting your house a color is not maintenance. That's a design choice.
Unless it's the same color.
Yeah. Well, we get it. Yeah. Okay.
I was kind of moving ahead. Where are you guys right now? What page?
Top of 8.
Top of 8. There we have a whole section under color, I think on page 16 that I was looking
Yeah.
at.
I mean, what if I got rid of this and added a line like you said, Grace? Please check it. Please check in with the office, to run your project. Do we really want to do that?
I think it's helpful to have a list of things, it say you're in the position where you have a broken pane of glass, to have a list here and say, okay, well, I can just take care of that. But it may be better to put the onus on Michael's team to determine if it's appropriate or not, instead of relying on the individuals. And that way there's a little bit more consistency about what gets reviewed. But it is, more effort.
For further specifics, please contact. And have this list of our primary hit lists. Painting, replacement, broken glass, etc. For more detailed information.
Yeah.
Please reach out or please contact, I guess, Michael.
No, contact the Historic Preservation Office.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not
And
going to.
I guess I would take painting out of there because it's nuanced. Like there's different different types.
For additional specifics, further specifics. Please contact. Is there I don't know the link. I don't know.
What would you say, Michael?
No, just contact the City Historic Preservation Office. And I believe somewhere in your guideline there's a link or there's a number to contact our office. There's a number down there that you have, like 520 77 something. Just say contact the Historic Preservation Office.
Mhm.
And then somewhere in the guideline there's a number to call the Historic Preservation Office.
Um, we say painting. Can we say repainting? I guess I'm just trying to give anyone pause on painting something without checking the color. All right. Well, am I the only one who's concerned about that or thinks we have a way to deal with it?
Do we want to just put this in like a little highlight moment, and then when we get to the painting section, we can kind of
Okay,
correlate.
that's a good idea. Okay, good
The-
idea.
The,
Keep it at, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say my only pause about removing painting from this list is that the UDC specifically does indicate you can paint without a review.
Well, there's your answer.
Yeah, it does.
So why are you saying, okay, we're gonna deal with painting later. Okay, let's, I guess, maybe try to make some progress and come back to it. Okay, I see your additional edit here about following a major design review. I think that change is fine. Anyone else?
Oh, I already accepted
Okay,
it.
no, good. Okay, I'm thinking that like this should start on its own page.
Where are we?
Now we're on page 10. This is just a nice visual /
Oh.
description of the styles. And I guess it had, I don't know if we want to make it fit onto 2 pages. I could probably fool around with that. If you all like the idea of that. I think it'd be helpful because there's just
Yeah.
like this. Yeah, okay, I'll work on that afterwards. And not seeing any new comments here. All right, at the bottom of 13 and then top of 14, we've got some red comments that need to be addressed.
Whose comments are in red?
I think
Oh, I
those
don't
were-
know who's,
I think they were mine, but
yeah.
now I can't remember why I'm referencing a located building.
Oh, sorry, there was just one sentence we skipped over. I forgot. I accidentally didn't post it. It's under design review types. The board may offer more than 2 courtesy reviews per application. It's just an awkward sentence. Do we allow unlimited courtesy reviews?
No,
I would
I don't think.
suggest that we limit it. I don't know if that's,
If
if you guys would agree.
So with the courtesy review, it is not even in the code. It is a friendly thing that staff does or the advisory board does to give applicants the opportunity to better design their project. There's no limit to that, but the Director of Planning and Development Services had put a number on it because this Barrio board, at one point, the board at the time were making people to come to them way too many times and not offering any progress and things like that. And so projects went round circles for the same thing. They'll come together, they'll give guidance. And then when the person comes and revises the plan to say what they said last time, they'll change their mind and give another direction. And so people started complaining. And it was at that time that the director said, hey, you guys can do 2 courtesy review and 2 only, but there is no limit. There's no code prescription for the number of courtesy review that you can do. There's no time frame for that. Because when somebody is in the process of doing the courtesy review, it does not factor into a review time frame. Once they've submitted an application and it comes to you and it is an actionable item, then there is a time frame for that. For courtesy review, there's no time frame.
Is it the applicant's choice if it's a
Is the
courtesy or a
applicant's-
regular
It's
review?
the applicant's choice to do a courtesy review or not to do it. My recommendation to you would be to put in your code that it is recommended for applicants to do courtesy review. It is not required. The code does not require it. It is not even in the code, but it is recommended for applicants to do it. The Fort Law wanted to make it mandatory for people to come to them to first of all do a courtesy review before they submit. the zoning administrator determined that it is not in the code, and therefore the advisory board does not have the authority to mandate people to do what is not in the code. But accepted that the advisory board could say it is recommended for people, because to do a courtesy review or not to do is actually the applicant's option. When they come to me, I tell them that when I look at the project, I will tell them that, hey, look, it would be a good idea for you to go and run this by the board so you can hear how they are feeling about it. They will give you guidance, they will give you direction. If they choose to do it, fine. If they choose not to do it and say, no, I will just go straight to the board, I cannot stop them.
Where were you, Darren, with this sentence you saw? What page is it on?
My pages aren't really reading at this point. It's under design review types. I think it's 11. There's a note. I posted a comment.
Ah, oh, I see.
For me on page 8.
8. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I
Toward the
guess the
bottom, yeah.
question
It's just an
I
awkward
have here is
sentence.
if we
unclear.
want to limit them. Darren, do you have an opinion if we do more or
I
less
mean,
than 2?
I could see getting whirlwinded into somebody who's enjoys this and has a lot of free time. So I don't know if we,
Or doesn't like the answers they're getting.
yeah. But if there's no stipulation, then we can't really say that. So maybe we just, I don't know, we could take it out. Or we could suggest, it's encouraged that, you know, two max courtesy reviews, 3 or like whatever. I mean, a big project could come back understandably more than twice.
I think you should my suggestion is that you should just say that it is recommended for applicants to come to the board for courtesy review without saying the max or anything like that.
Love
It would then be up to the facilitating staff at that point or the board to decide at that point. Please, let's not put a max on it.
Okay.
My suggestion.
Sorry, help. I'm just doing this. Is that okay?
I'm thrilled.
Participants, how do we label our clients?
Applicants.
Come in, present. Curtis, I'm a really bad speller. Review prior to final review. I mean,
Or is
feel free to dress that up.
For who else present for a courtesy? How about request a courtesy review prior to the formal review? Is that right?
Prior to submitting for a formal review.
Prior to submitting or a formal. Okay. How about add a courtesy review?
Right.
Okay.
All good.
Oh,
moving
major. Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm moving us back down past building types. Demolition. Yeah, okay, there's a question at the bottom. Yeah, I don't know, Stephen, how relocated buildings come into play here.
They don't, and I can't even remember. If that was me, I don't remember why I wrote it.
Okay,
So
then look at this. Done. So this maybe we should change. Because this indicates that that's all people need to be worried about.
yeah, I mean, it should just say, are changes appropriate and kept to a minimum?
Okay, that's good. Everybody else?
Looks good.
Love it.
Okay. Um,
I highlighted abstract reference.
hmm.
Full disclosure, I hadn't read this, our guidelines in their entirety, and I was just wondering if that could be fleshed out a little bit. Or talked about in past experience. I just was curious about that moment, abstract reference.
This is actually a question I wanted to ask, and was this in there, Aaron?
Abstract reference?
Was this in the body?
It was.
Did you add it,
I
Darren?
did not.
Okay.
It was in the body. I did not add it.
So God, I don't know if I missed, I guess I missed this, but so if I had a vacant lot and I wanted to build a house that you know, is a Sonoran row house in appearance. I didn't want to put expansion joints. I wanted to use, you know, recessed double hung windows. I wanted to put historic doors. Wanted to put canales that were appropriate. And in short, I wanted to build a house that looks like it could have been built in 1880. Am I allowed to do that?
Good question.
And I want to say, for context, you can actually, if you look at those site maps, you can see how much vacant property there was in the neighborhood, you know, in 1975. And, you know, many projects were built in exactly the same kind of, you know, with the same goal that I just stated. Mark Body's house on the corner of, that Dolores lives in now, on the corner of Kennedy, the John Lovegrove house just to the south of it, across the street on the corner. Many of Michael Keith's buildings, you know, John Crow's addition on, you know, outside of the zone, but on 18th. I mean, it just looks so great. And if we had had, you know, if we had had these, what I think are these strict guidelines in place back then, this neighborhood would have looked entirely different than it does, just because there was so much vacant land. And if that restriction is real, and I'm asking if it is, essentially, and I mean, we're talking about the Secretary of Interior guidelines here, I think, but it's troubling.
Because you're saying those buildings would not have been built, Stephen?
Yeah, I'm saying, wait, what was your, say that again, Mitch? I mean,
It's troubling in the sense that guys like John Crow wouldn't have built the nice stuff that they built in John Lovegrove, because is that where you're going?
yeah, yeah, they would have had to build something that had some indication that it was not a historic building.
No, I agree with you. It's kind of a catch-22.
Yeah.
I think looking at it in that context, those guys that were here in the past did it because they really loved being here. What I'm worried about is new people coming in with money and buying lots, and the only thing they're looking at is how much profit they can make.
Well, my question is, okay, I mean, so my question, as stated earlier, is why couldn't I build a building, or could I build a building that looked like it was old?
I wouldn't complain.
Okay.
What about those buildings, that development on Meyer and is it Kennedy? You know, the houses that are,
Yeah,
that,
the Bob Lang
where does
design.
that fall in? Because those, they
So
don't look like they were original, but they
Look, sort of.
fit in for sure.
more or less okay. I
But
mean,
that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about more of a straight up copy.
yeah. And that project was, as initially presented, was very egregious. Design-wise,
Yes.
it looked really, really, really bad, and that was a battle to, and I, you know, and those buildings aren't great. I mean, the rear elevations are not fantastic, and there's a number of things you could point to, but I think Bob did a really good job, given his constraints, and
Mhm.
anyway, it's better than it would have
Okay.
happened. So I guess I don't want to belabor this, but but I think this, what Darren highlighted here, is germane, right? I haven't read the whole paragraph.
Yeah.
I mean, getting back to Stephen's question, I think it's a great one. And Michael, clarify if I'm wrong, please. But we were always on something that an addition was put on. We definitely wanted to differentiate with that
Yes.
to not make it look like it's old. But
Yeah.
on a freestanding building, if somebody decided to build a very simple Sonoran row house, I mean, where does Stephen's question come into play with that?
It will still be, it will still be new. It will not be old, because the material
Right.
that you are going to use at this point in time, it's not going to be the same material that existed at the same time. And when you look at it, even if the appearance looks that way, it is just being compatible. But you will still be able to tell that this is a new structure that is not as old as the other structures were. Because
Because of
most
the new
of the materials
materials.
that were used at that time are no longer available at this point in time. So
Well,
they
I
have
want
to be
what if I mean, I want to build it in Adobe. This is, you know, hypothetical here, but
We would love that, or I would.
Yeah, I mean, Adobe exists in the barroom, most of the places. You know, you can do it even today. I mean, people will be encouraged you to do that, because that is part of the character of the neighborhood.
so I'm mainly talking about appearance, though. I mean, Michael Keith, you know, has built a lot of you know, roster buildings. You know, the materials don't matter so much as the appearance, from my perspective. I mean, you know, materials can be important, but I'm talking about appearance, and that supposed, what I think is a required, you know, differentiation of new from old.
Mhm.
And I might have that wrong, but that's the way I'm gathering it. So Darren, so what, so the gist of this abstract reference paragraph is that addressing my question?
Is it addressing your question?
Yeah, I mean, is that the same issue?
I was just curious, not really. I was just looking for a little context in the way this has been implemented in the past, or just to understand, because it's kind of like a radical unknown variable, right? Am I understanding this abstract reference completely?
You know, I feel like those ones that Bob Lanning did fit this abstract reference, right? But what you're saying, Stephen, does not, because this is asking us to avoid literal resemblance.
Right.
I think Stephen, your concern is more with literal replication, the first kind of category.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it doesn't say like no, it just says it kind of sets you up for a different path.
Well, it says this is not a viable option.
Usually. Yeah.
As
Generally, the door's not shut.
Okay.
Want us to add that in there? This is not usually a viable option and is and can be inconsistent?
I mean, it kind of addresses it. I mean, generally, this is not a viable option. The Barrio Historico is usually inconsistent with the sec. Yeah, I mean, like I don't know if we're beating a dead horse because it kind of states,
Okay.
it's discouraging, but the door's not closed. It's the way I'm reading it anyway.
Yeah. Okay. And then are we all right leaving this abstract reference paragraph in, considering all that?
I am.
I mean, we have to.
Yeah.
No?
Yes.
Otherwise, I mean, it's been established.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, then I'm gonna. There we go. Look at that. Okay. So Mitch, you've got some comments here. I highlighted this in bold, predominant height of similar building types and styles. Again, this is just me wanting to make sure we covered this topic very thoroughly. Make sure we're all happy with it. But Mitch, it sounds like you have a good sense of how we're addressing it throughout the document.
Oh, for the just before that section, the thing that's bolded.
Yeah, that's me. I bolded this one right here. Predominant
Yeah.
under yeah, just to make sure we're talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that makes sense with relation to what I was commenting on, just down there.
Okay.
But yeah, I was looking towards existing examples, whether they were in the Barrio Historico document or in the UDC. And I wrote them out in the comments, so I don't know.
I see.
I kind of liked more of that phrasing than what the phrasing that's currently in here is, but I was looking for other thoughts too.
Okay.
And yeah, in the end of that paragraph, kind of defining the maximum height, it's already defined in other places in the UDC, so I don't know if it's worth putting here as well. Or if we do put it here to copy paste it instead of this one has like a little bit of a rephrasing to it that could be confusing.
I'm happy to cut and paste. I mean, I think we should include this height business.
But yeah, I mean,
Anyone else?
this first section is basically like you can't put a parapet roof of the same height as like a gabled roof next to each other. Like it's not going to be as compatible. That's what that example has in the comments.
Well, I'm okay with those changes. Do you want to make them though, Mitch, so that they go right where you want them? Does anyone else have any questions about it?
Height wise, like putting a gabled roof or a gabled roof next to a parapet roof building. There used to be, I was thinking there used to be a percentage height, a percentage. Okay, so if you're going to build the building with the parapet next to an existing building with a gabled roof, there was a percentage of the gabled roof building's height that you could go up to with your building, your parapet building. And is that, I don't that used to be written somewhere, but I don't.
So with the height in the HPZs, they do not have a specific limitation on the height. The heights in the HPZ are limited by the tallest contributing property within the development zone. That is how heights are compared in the HPZ. They are compared to other heights within the development zone. That's how the UDC refers to height in the HPZ. And because of that, if you see some zoning administrator determination that has happened over the years, it's mainly People ask for expanded development zone just to get the height that is required for them to put certain structure. And these are usually when people are proposing to put a 2-story or 3-story. If they're in the HPZ, then there are no structures that are within that height. And so the HPZ limits it to, you need to show the height. You cannot build taller than the tallest contributing property within the development zone. That is what is done in the HPZ.
And
Whereas in other sections of the city, you have to go by street zoning regulation.
so Michael, on a gabled building, would the height be measured at the peak of the gable or at the
Midpoint.
eaves?
The midpoint,
Excuse me?
at the midpoint, for the purposes of zoning.
So where's the midpoint between the top of the gable and the top of the eave? Is that the midpoint?
Yeah, in between the eave and the gable. That's
Okay.
what we consider the midpoint for zoning purposes.
So does this
But,
verbiage,
generally, in most of the HPZ, the height is measured at the top of the building.
so is it accurate to say that this verbiage just leaves it up to the discretion of the board?
Yes. At the applicant has to come to you and say, hey, I'm taking this property here, the height of this property here. Number one, is that property within the development zone? Number two, what is the height of that property? That is where the board decides what height can be allowed.
Yeah, I guess like right below it in the setback section, it's simply a sentence that says, maintain the prevailing setbacks. And I feel like this height paragraph should have the same spirit of like maintain I mean, even that phrasing that you bolded out, maintain like the predominant heights of similar building types and styles in the development zone.
Yes.
I don't know if we have to go much more elaborate in this paragraph.
And the word style is very important because if when you have a gable roof and a flat roof, those heights are different.
Right, which we have that spelled out there. Parapet
Yeah.
roof structure cannot use the same height as a gabled.
Exactly.
Right. So
Yeah.
Stephen, can you repeat your question again?
Well, I mean, it looks like it's this verbiage allows discretion for the board on the part of the board, which seems fine to me.
Are you satisfied, Mitch?
With just keeping it as it is, or
Well, I guess I'm not clear if we're going to add any of this to that. Add anything that you wrote.
I guess for the second sentence, like the parapet not having the same height measurement, I get what the spirit of the sentence is saying, but like you are using the same way of measuring the building of both buildings. So that's why I was a little bit hung up on that. That makes sense to everybody.
So does that sentence have to be in there? That seems a little confusing to me. Just the existence of the sentence. I mean, because you don't want that. You don't want that that case.
Yeah. So yeah, in the comment, there's this passage from the UDC that seems like it's communicating the same idea. So I was suggesting maybe just replacing this section with that section.
Any objections to that?
No.
No.
Nope.
Okay. Mitch, would you do that to make sure we get it right?
Sure, I can copy it like right
Yeah, that's awesome.
above it first, and then
Okay.
I'll try to paste it more. Now formatting. Format. Can I do that? Is that how you do it? Okay, good.
We should say the word territorial may be a little bit ambiguous. I think we should say put a parapet roofed territorial or something like that.
Yeah, okay. You can make it more general.
Yeah.
Building with a parapet roof
Yeah,
or with a parapet, I guess. It's not really part of the roof.
that's good. Yeah.
Um, Okay. Um, mm, yeah, and then the roof type comment. The existing wording that it kind of leaves it more open to considering the neighbors, not just like the contributing structure. Seems like this sentence is a little bit more limiting. Or I think the existing wording, you can also include the interpretation of additions and accessory structures as well as new primary structures.
I think there are ways that we want to consider additions and accessory structures the same, but when it comes to the roof, I think we're looking accessory to accessory more than accessory to contributing. What do you guys think? Or
Actually,
primary is the alternate.
for accessory structure, the code does not actually say whether it is contributing or non-contributing. They just say accessory to accessory. Is that what you were asking, Grace?
Yes, I think sort of the larger question is, do we want to treat additions and accessory structures the same when we're looking at the roof types? Or do we want them to have different criteria?
I think maybe for additions, it would be encouraged to have the same roof type, but for detached things, it could depend more on like the neighboring structure if it's
Yeah.
So maybe that's the distinction.
Especially with our previous conversation around categories for new build, and it seems like anything detached would have a different consideration.
Okay, so how do we rewrite this? Maybe it's for additions on a contributing property. The roof type must be compatible with the contributing structure. Accessory structures cannot be higher than the main structure. Do we have a compatibility line we want to put? Oh, and cannot, okay. I'm gonna try something for additions.
Yeah, I think we're just removing accessory. And I don't know for like the wording that we're going for, if must be, if we're ever using like must or have to, or if we're more using encouraged or should as the existing code is using.
Okay, yeah, what's another word? Accessory structures. So I'm gonna say should be. What do we want to say about accessory structures?
Well, as it was before, accessory structures and additions cannot be higher. There's already a provision for accessory structures in the code now, for like the height it can be in relation to the primary structure.
Okay.
And then for the additions, I'm not sure if there's one in the UDC, but I wanted to bring up that we did approve an addition on Elias in 2023 that where the addition was like a couple feet higher than the original building. So I didn't know if we wanted to have this kind of additional restriction in there.
All right, so take that off then.
Yeah, I didn't know if the sense was like in reaction to that approval or if it was just there already.
I don't believe it was directly related to that, no, Mitch.
Okay.
Additions on a contributing property, the roof type should be compatible with a contributing structure. So no comment on height.
Yeah, I was saying to remove the last sentence unless anyone has objections to that.
No.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Does everyone see up above that before new construction in red, see pages 18 and 19 for FLD description? Should we just remove that?
I think you could. It's like if you read through the document, you'll find it.
Yeah.
And if the document changes format, it could not be on those pages.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Should be as good. The acceptable finishes. Yeah, I don't know if we which one do you encourage finishes. If we want to make it more like we want those finishes to happen. That's just a little word choice.
Okay. Anybody else? Preferred finishes?
Or preferred, you know.
We like that.
Really good. Strong work, Hope.
Yeah.
I'm worried that Steven's got 12 more minutes with us. And he's already gone.
Oh,
No, I'm
he's-
not. already- Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this next one, I'm just rephrasing it as to how I
Okay.
was thinking that red comment is. Stuccoed masonry block or a stuccoed ICF block. I'll just write it. So
Okay, I'm happy with that.
just so we do that. I didn't know if we wanted to stipulate a minimum thickness, the no less than 10 inches wide. I don't know if that applied just for ICF or if we wanted to do that for like other materials in general.
block is only 8. I mean, you could do 12, but
Yeah, I guess what that's what I was getting at. Like if the ICF's at least 10, then shouldn't the CMU be at least 10 as well? But
no, you can't get 10-inch block anymore.
so it'd have to be 12 if it was masonry. But I guess I'm wondering if we should put a thickness minimum at all, or if that's just kind of going to be self-evident in the materials that are recommended.
I think self-evident.
Okay, so I'll just remove that stipulation. And then I added for the natural stone, I didn't know if we wanted to put, natural stone of a type and thickness historically used so that we kind of address the use of veneers as we've experienced recently.
I think that's a good idea.
Art.
Okay. Just copy paste that. I think. Yeah. A type and thickness. Cool. Yeah, I don't know if we wanted to use masonry block instead of concrete block here just to be consistent, or if there's a difference there between when it was used earlier in the paragraph.
Consistency is good.
Yeah, I would say make them both concrete masonry block maybe. So that
Right.
matches the abbreviation we're including.
Oh, I see. Yeah. That is a good idea. I mean, the next comment is kind of similar to the C pages, XX for these things. So I was going to remove that unless anyone.
Do it.
I think that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, those are just kind of making the sentence a sentence. It's kind of just a fragment there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this section seems to be kind of continuing with this section about off-street parking. So I don't know if they should just be combined. And then I don't know about the red comment who put that in kind of the
That was me.
if there's more context needed there to incorporate that into the paragraph.
I think based on what we've seen, particularly on the house down the street for me, the more guidance, the better on garage doors.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, like planker frame and panel in appearance is encouraged.
Oh, that's good. That's a good way to put
Or-
it.
Yeah, the only, I'm just wondering, I mean, you could conceivably do like a horizontal panel, which would not be appropriate. So I don't know how to address that.
Mm,
Say vertical frame and
Yeah.
panel.
yeah. Wood and steel. I
By
could
the
put it
way,
right after the.
I was just going to say, I built both of those gates that I referenced
Oh, okay.
long ago.
Should we put the like added it as part of it, like for reference these, or or is that just for us? This is referencing doors, right?
Those are
Or
gates.
gates, got it. Or a vertical frame.
And I don't know if it's obvious, but but in Chris's gates, there's a little interior door that you could open without opening the whole gate.
Mm,
Could we maybe include the addresses? I'm not sure which
yeah.
property these ones are.
This is just
Well, we're not going to really
Just
include
for us.
these.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is it smart to start putting in people's?
no.
We want a wall of shame.
I think Michael expressly told us we weren't supposed to do that.
That's why I'm listening to you. People are just doubting what you're trying to do.
So we should just put the addresses or just remove this?
No, those
No, I moved the notes on.
Yeah.
that was just for
Okay.
you guys
Okay,
reference.
okay. Cool. And I'll try to make this
Very good.
black. Okay. For secondary buildings, we have this as maybe typical. Heart in red.
Okay. So
I
that
don't.
may be considered. We don't want as may be. That's redundant language, or doesn't make sense.
Considered. Yeah. Well, I didn't put this, so I don't really know what
I see.
was happening here.
I don't either. Anyone remember this? I think
Yeah, I
it could
did
be
it.
just okay.
Maybe as what did you say, Hope? As
I don't think we need
Typical.
as may be. I
Okay.
think it's fine with just tip, which
Okay.
may be. Yeah. Okay.
Good.
Great.
Okay. The next one, this code reference is not referencing what it says it's referencing, and I couldn't find that reference. I don't know if anyone had that or knew where that was exactly. It's basically about sleeping. What do they call it exactly? Sleeping units?
Sleeping quarters.
Sleeping quarters.
Sleeping
If they-
quarters.
Michael, do you know?
The sleeping quarters are the same like accessory structure.
I
But
think
they have to
maybe
have at
just,
least 50%.
But they
Just remove
become,
it, or
they become a living unit. That's what it, accessory dwelling unit, which they are calling today ADU.
maybe just get rid of this. What do you guys think?
It's the same thing like the casitas and all that kind of
yeah.
stuff. That is what they are calling accessory structures, accessory dwelling units, and things like that.
You mean get rid of the whole paragraph because it's just basically a couple code references.
Yeah, and I don't know that we necessarily care how big the kitchen is.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And existing structures. Stephen, this is your comment. I'm guessing all the red ones.
Yeah, and I don't know if I've changed it to, was that, it's been a long time. I can't remember. Maybe
Alt.
Oh.
address a residential, but I just went above and didn't see that any reference to specifically residential. So,
Okay.
this may be moot, I don't know, but alterations of existing structures, because this is about alterations, right? No?
I think the assumption is that existing structures, it's about altering them, right? Because we're
Yeah.
not tearing them down. So I don't, maybe it's not necessary.
Yeah, we can strike that.
Okay.
And then the one below it, I think we've covered already as well. I think, let's see. Yeah, it said should be kept to a minimum, but we've dealt with this.
Yeah.
Of,
So we can remove the from the streets so we can include the
yeah.
courtyards, I guess.
Would all exterior alterations take care of this?
Mm,
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Oops. There we go.
Nice.
And those down on 18, are we there with those?
Yeah.
That's
3 question marks.
That's my question earlier. So do
Oh,
not.
I
Oh,
see.
right.
Oh, that's an addition, though. That's an addition. So I think we're okay. You can just strike.
Okay. Okay. I think that's all I had for that section.
Okay. Okay. Now we're down to materials, design elements, architectural details, and ornamentation.
There's
So like I said,
red on page 20
okay, so that's down
under
under.
doors. Is that farther than?
Yep, but you're a couple pages into the design elements.
Oh, right.
But so before we get down to that red, it's on page 19 right now, colors. Why don't we look at this one more time? I'm beating a dead horse. I wrote, why is this? And Michael, I do think you've explained it.
I can still explain if I need to.
No, I just wonder if there's a way to do a preference or.
So what are you thinking of doing? What are you thinking that you want the bot to do so that maybe together we can figure out something?
Well, I'm thinking about the dark blue house down the street, that it seems like there's nothing to be done about that, or it never could have come by our desks to begin with, and seems like a pretty significant give up.
You guys, I have to go. I'm so sorry, but
Okay.
but thanks for.
Thank you, Stephen.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll let you know.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So
You
Stephen,
just want me to let this go?
Stephen is
No,
leaving
I
at
mean, I think it's
9:40.
important.
You still have a quorum, so
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
So Michael, do you know what Hope is getting at? There's a building on Convent, and I don't know if it's Simpson or Kennedy, that they painted it black and blue, that it's totally out of context with the neighborhood.
Midnight blue.
Midnight blue.
It's a real particular shade.
With black trim.
The black trim.
Maybe you can just talk about colors being consistent with what is existing in the neighborhood.
Okay, so can I remove this? Can I just not say that it's not subject to review
No,
and just start here?
Just
Or
leave
say,
it like that.
um,
you may not say it's not subject to review, but you can just say that paint colors should be compatible or should be consistent with
yeah,
what is in the neighborhood.
contextual. Oh, there's a line down here it should consider, the first bullet. Original or historic colors that were used on your building. See what I just did? I took this line and started it off. Let's see if that works. I can always go back. Paint colors should consider original or historic colors that were used on your building.
I think we could remove all the kind of scope language out of here and just say what the guidelines are, you know? So the guidelines say it should be historically compatible, and then, you know, the scope of it is addressed elsewhere or in the UDC, but doesn't necessarily need to be brought up here.
Okay, I like that. So we're gonna remove that line you've got highlighted. Yeah. Okay, so maybe I can even get rid of this. I'm gonna get rid of this first line.
Yeah, I think you can.
Yep. Okay, so that at least it doesn't claim that we can dictate it, but anyone who's reading it would be encouraged to. I guess it still doesn't let us do anything about that house down the street, but
I don't know, Michael. I remember you saying that if enough people filed a complaint, it would come up for review. Is that true?
Color?
Did you not say at one point that if enough neighbors filed a complaint on the color of a newly painted house, it would come up for review?
Well, if you file a complaint, it's going to be looked at as a zoning violation. The code enforcement staff will come there and open a ticket. But when it comes to us, we're going to look at the code. The code sincerely does not define any type of color that we can allow or not allow.
Okay.
At this point in time, we'll review. This is not to say that we don't review color. If a big project like you were talking about, Bob Laden's project, the one at I believe is 450 South Maya. If it came to you and you're doing the review, yes, you can review the color for that kind of big project. If the color is reviewed within the scheme of projects. But when it is just an individual who's coming to paint their house, I'm not going to call you, say, let's go and do a minor review. That's the only problem with paint.
But even if we review it, there's no mandatory compliance, correct?
No, if you review it and determine during the review process, you say here are your color options, then they stay within that color because you're giving them, that becomes a binding. If you are reviewing a project and you give an applicant, okay, this one you can paint it blue, red, there's already guidance for the color palette. Then they have to stay within that color palette that was recommended.
So any structures that haven't been reviewed ever can do whatever they want.
yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. And I'm a little unclear. I know there's a section about signage and murals, and this. Michael, that would include any kind of mural work?
Generally, what we do in historic district is when people are doing stuff like that, it has to first of all go to the sign code division. Once the sign code determines that it is a sign, because there are some of the things that the sign code does not consider it a sign. And so if they don't consider it a sign, we can still review it for historic purposes. So all signs are first of all reviewed by the sign code before it goes to historic review. If it is a sign, most signs we are reviewing it like minor reviews.
I'm still not clear if a mural would be considered a sign or not.
Whether what?
Is a mural considered a sign?
No.
Copy.
They consider the mirror, the sign code consider a mirror as a work of art.
Okay, got it. Okay, great.
Okay, so it seems like we at least are happy with how we're presenting our color preferences here. And we don't need to solve this today. It doesn't sound like there's much we can do about existing cases. So maybe just we'll move on. Doors. I mean, I'm happy to have this on page 20, perforated solid screen security doors are not allowed. I'm happy to
Black.
change that to black. Yeah. Oops, that's wrong. Oh, here's me. So I'm on the bottom of page 21. Individual mailboxes are to be on the property. Those at the property line are to be reviewed. So we don't review mailboxes in general unless they are
Attached to
group
it.
mailboxes.
If they're attached to the building, yeah. If they're freestanding, we don't.
So wait, you're saying we can't review mailboxes that are attached to the building?
You can, yes.
Okay. Individual mailbox. I don't know what this means.
Individual mailboxes are usually placed in front of houses and stuff like that. They really don't have, they don't really have any adverse effect on the contributing status of the property at all. But if you have a neighborhood where they have those mailboxes that are attached to the building, it becomes an addition to the building. That one is subject to removal. They are just like lights.
Right. But so the first one, individual mailboxes are to be on the property.
It
Like
doesn't
not
make
all,
sense.
yeah,
It
like
doesn't,
not,
I mean, let's not say that because
yeah,
some of them are placed by the UPS that we really don't have.
right.
Some owners don't really have a say as to where those mailboxes are placed.
Mhm.
So if we want
Individual mailboxes at the property line are to be reviewed or on the property.
Standalone detached mailboxes, is that kind of where we're going?
Yes,
I think
what is the property line? Yeah.
What's that, Hope?
What would the property line be? So that's not attached to your house. Let's say I like stuck a mailbox out on the sidewalk.
Like I would say that that's not on the property, and you know the UPS wants you to be a certain
yeah, they have
Yeah.
inches high and inches beyond the curb,
yeah, and then
usually in the city right away.
yeah.
So I think if you had a mailbox on your house, Hope, attached to your front wall,
Yeah.
that would be reviewable.
Yes.
If you had a standalone mailbox 18 inches away from the curb, that's non-reviewable.
Individual mailboxes attached to the property should
Will be reviewed.
mirror,
Or go ahead.
or should mirror, should be compatible with neighborhood.
Architecture or neighborhood design.
Should be compatible with boxes in the development zone.
Yeah.
Making this up.
No, that's good.
Modern group mailboxes are really okay.
Looks good.
Okay. All right. Carry on. Murals. Any thoughts on these red questions at the bottom of 22?
I guess my question on this one is, do we review them? Did the mural on 9th come through a review, Paul?
No, the homeowners did that. They just did it. So yeah, it was not reviewed.
I don't know that defining mural is helpful for us here unless we have an opinion about how it's related to the like the specific neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
Do we want to make a recommendation or a guideline where they can be placed? Does anyone have an opinion
I
about that?
think they should just be reviewed, and then we can determine that at the review.
You can just say it should be reviewed, and then during the review process, you can make a determination as to
Yeah.
where they should be placed.
I mean, I do like saying in here they can't include advertising.
Where does it say that?
Murals must have
Kind of,
cultural and or historic references. Yeah.
It's just so vague.
Yeah, I just think we just write in there that murals need to have a formal review, and we determine placement and appropriateness at the review.
I mean, doesn't
Um,
every single piece of art have a cultural context?
Um,
Can you make arts outside of a cultural context? I mean, it's just so broad.
I think maybe just add a line that's, I agree with what you're saying, Darren. I think here maybe just add a line that says, mural subject to historic review or something.
yeah, put that at the top.
But I don't know that we would want to put ourselves in a position where we're
Yes,
policing
exactly.
the content of the
We're
art.
culture makers.
So, like I think it's like that needs to be taken out. It's too vague and specific. It's vague and specific in a bad combination.
The cultural and or historic reference. You want that out?
I mean, I feel like it's just impossible to enforce and setting a precedent of like whose viewpoint is that sentence referencing?
The context. Yeah. Are you
Cultural,
happy?
like,
Yeah.
it's just,
Are you happier with this where it doesn't mention it?
I think it's a lot smarter.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe it's just the placement that's subject to review.
Yeah, we
I
could
think
see
you need to
mural
take out the
size and
otherwise.
placement. What do you think about this? What do you think of that?
I mean, what do you guys think about the Aztec warrior at Meyer and Simpson? I don't know, Simpson or Kennedy.
Now it's like an oddity.
Well, it's like outside of the cultural context of this neighborhood.
So when that project got approved, because that was certainly under strict review and changes were made, was there any sense that they needed to ask permission for that?
No, so I mean, I think Philip did a minor review on that, but it was not on the statue itself. It was just on the base that was originally there. And so Philip was not allowed to review the sculpture. I mean, it was there already. So he reviewed the base and they changed the base a little bit.
It kind of raises the question about sculptures not being murals, and can I put a giant pterodactyl in my front yard?
Um,
Good
the-
point.
Good point, Darren.
Shit.
It's hard to argue, but yeah. I mean, I think we just mural size and placement are subject to historic review and cannot include advertising, period.
Yeah. I like that. But do we want to do anything about public art? I guess because that's what that is. I mean, I'm not suggesting we do, but this would be the time to
This
address
would be
that.
the time. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, I could do the same thing.
Well, then we're
I could take-
dividing yard decor, and I mean, like, it's gonna get fussy about that, drawing a line between a ceramic terracotta rabbit and a pterodactyl, a steel pterodactyl.
Mhm.
That's a can of worms.
I think if it's not, installed in a way that damages or impacts the contributing structure, and I don't know that it matters from my perspective. It's removable without damaging the historic fabric.
Mm.
I don't know how we could touch it.
I could do murals and public art. And then the language could be installations. The size and placement of installations are subject to historic review.
I mean, so if I want a 20-foot wedding trellis in my front yard, like, just like it gets really gray really quickly.
I don't know, but you'd want to be able to review whatever weird thing you just said, Darren.
I kind of want to chew on this a little more because it's a real slippery slope.
Yeah, maybe we can think about it, and I'm not sure if we can. Are we going to get to everything today?
Yeah, I know. I'm a little worried. Okay, we're here at 6. Okay. All right, I'm just going through. All right, maybe we should call it.
Yeah,
We're
got a lot
already,
of
so
Stephen's
the next
comments
red
too.
line is at 25 on page 25. So maybe at our next meeting, hopefully, I don't know what reviews we have on the docket, but we can devote a good chunk to finishing this.
Michael, are there any reviews for the next meeting?
Probably have one or two.
Okay, so maybe we can just have this on the agenda, and if we don't have time, we can do a second meeting for.
Yeah, let me look at it and I'll check with you during the week or the month. So I'm noting that we're ending on the review on page 25, and that the subsequent review will be scheduled.
Okay.
I think you people did good because it took more than what you guys. It took more than what people have done today for other advisory boards to be where you are. I think
Yeah.
you're good. How many pages are still left? Hope.
How many
Well,
pages?
yes.
26. Let me see.
Well, I'm noting that
We have what page is this? Sorry, 26. We still have like 15 pages, but a lot of that is references and
then you're good. You're good.
I think we'll be, yeah, it's quicker stuff, I hope.
Yeah, you're good. You've done the most part of it. The last 15 pages that you have, I believe that in the next review cycle that we schedule this, you should be able to finish it up.
Yeah. Okay, that's exciting.
Cool.
Thanks for all your work on this, Hope. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, everybody's, I mean, I'm
Yes, thank you for everybody.
picking up after years of research and
When was this started?
2020.
Damn. Thank you,
the
everyone. We
thing
need to-
is,
Let me provide a very quick update.
okay,
The next item will be staff update. Let me provide you with 2 updates before we adjourn the meeting, please. It will be too quick. Number one, we now have a historic preservation officer who has actually accepted the job, and that person will be coming in by mid-March. Right now, they're just going through HR background check and things like that, but start date is somewhere mid of March for the new historic preservation officer.
Is this a new position or a new person in this existing position?
It's a new person in the existing position.
Got it.
My second update would be on the 350 South Convent. The door that came before you at your last review, which the proposal was recommended for denial. So the applicant is going to abide by court order, the court order that the door should be removed.
it's
So
already happened. It's
Yeah.
in.
Court
Yes.
order?
Yes. The court ordered the applicant to remove the door, and I believe the door has been removed. And the new door that is going to be there is going to be a wood door with a transom on top, which I
It's
believe
there. It's already installed and it looks, it matches the doors on the south side of the building. So they,
exactly. They went to plans review subcommittee with a new design, and that is what they are installing because they had to meet a court order date. So
Hmm.
just letting you know that what you were wanting them to do has been met. So if you pass there, you'll see a new door there. As a transom on top, it's a wood door.
can I
Those
tell
are-
them what I was
Mhm.
thinking about it, Michael?
Yeah, go ahead.
The day before the gallery, like it was like the day before the door came down, I was walking my dogs and I saw they had posted a sign. They're very angry about it, that they had to take it down. And they had an example of another door that got approved. Why did the board approve this one, not ours? They wanted us to do peepholes. There are things that I didn't really understand in the complaint, but I wanted to just mention that we've got someone pretty unhappy.
Yeah,
And
I understand that.
Mhm.
One of the things that we do is we look at this thing on a case-by-case basis. If somebody feels that there is something that is existing in the neighborhood, we are not targeting anybody, they are more than welcome to report to code enforcement, just like their door was reported. They reached
Okay.
out to us and we told that person that if you feel that that door was inappropriate and was put in there without review or anything, just like you did, you're more than welcome to report to code enforcement. We as
Okay.
service staff, we do not go out there looking for violation. But if you see a violation and you're a neighbor, you're more than welcome to report to code enforcement. That's what we said to that person because they reached out to us and said, why there is this door here? Why is it that you are singling me out? Why is it? No, that's not how we operate. It's on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
And
Hope,
we
do you know
always-
the addresses of the door we approved that they were referencing?
It's funny, I've seen it 1,000 times and I can't remember where it is. It's a metal door with different like patchwork of metal work and it's kind of a artsy craftsy thing, I would say.
That we
And I don't know
approved?
any history of how it went in.
Hmm.
I mean, I took a picture of their sign. I think my
Just-
bigger thinking
just
was
because-
moving.
just- but let's get one thing straight. Just because the door is there does not mean that it was approved.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's what I'm trying to get
Um,
at.
I think it was outside
Yeah.
the development zone, whatever it is.
And possibly.
Well,
And the other thing is, what it led me to think is once got our guidelines in order, approved and finalized, I think we could use an education effort in the neighborhood and some kind of celebration of it and why we're doing it. It's just something so that people are aware of the good intentions and the why behind it all. It's probably been a while since anyone has done anything like that.
Friday cocktail hour, what?
No, I don't know. I'm
Who
just,
said that?
no, I didn't say that.
What?
I know, I mean an educational effort and maybe a postcard mailing to everyone in the area that these guidelines have been updated. I know someone who's living here. I didn't even know there were guidelines, like ever, for 18
Mhm.
years. No one, it didn't come up in work I was doing, but even so, never occurred to me. And I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I'm sure. Cool. All right, are we
Okay, yeah, we're at time.
all right, thank you, everybody.
Thank
Yeah,
you all.
thanks everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Have a good one.
So we are closing at 6:06.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
Bye.
Thank you, Hope.